You can edit that out, right? Okay, so talking about circumventing barriers to girls' education. First I want to start off with talking about why I even care about this issue, or why I feel that we need to stop trying to force ourselves against these barriers and find ways around them. Where are my questions? All right. Okay, so I have 6 brothers. And that has definitely shaped a lot of why I am the way I am today. When I was 8 years old, we built a snow cave in our backyard. I helped significantly for a little 8-year-old, and not sarcastic, I really helped a lot, and I was really proud of this huge snow cave that we made. And we were about ready to go into the snow cave when my brothers put on this sign, "No girls allowed." I was furious. I could not believe they would do this to me. These were my brothers. I mean, 4 of them are a lot older than me and 2 younger, so I thought, I had a good in, and because I was so mad, I decided I'm going to run in here anyway. And when I did, I was stiff-armed. And I found myself lying on the snow on my back, and I was thinking, how did this happen to me? I helped build this snow cave. And I came to the conclusion that I need to stand up for what I wanted to do. And I was like, look, there are these people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Susan B. Anthony who have fought for rights. I have the right to go into this snow cave.
It's party time, chums.
Alright, so next we have Chris Lee, and she's going to talk to us about the importance of educating women globally, and the title of her talk is Circumventing Cultural Barriers to Girls' Education, and I'm really excited about this. Thanks, Chris. What?
I don't know how to use this computer. I know.
I'm sorry.
Is there a good thing down here? Oh, it just looks different than it does on my computer. Oh. I'm very technically savvy. But I know what. You can edit that out, right? Okay, so talking about circumventing barriers to girls' education. First I want to start off with talking about why I even care about this issue, or why I feel that we need to stop trying to force ourselves against these barriers and find ways around them. Where are my questions? All right. Okay, so I have 6 brothers. And that has definitely shaped a lot of why I am the way I am today. When I was 8 years old, we built a snow cave in our backyard. I helped significantly for a little 8-year-old, and not sarcastic, I really helped a lot, and I was really proud of this huge snow cave that we made. And we were about ready to go into the snow cave when my brothers put on this sign, "No girls allowed." I was furious. I could not believe they would do this to me. These were my brothers. I mean, 4 of them are a lot older than me and 2 younger, so I thought, I had a good in, and because I was so mad, I decided I'm going to run in here anyway. And when I did, I was stiff-armed. And I found myself lying on the snow on my back, and I was thinking, how did this happen to me? I helped build this snow cave. And I came to the conclusion that I need to stand up for what I wanted to do. And I was like, look, there are these people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Susan B. Anthony who have fought for rights. I have the right to go into this snow cave. That did not actually change my brother's opinions. I never actually got to go into that snow cave until they went to school the next day. But the point is, when I was trying to force myself against this barrier of my brothers who were much bigger and taller and stronger than me, I could not get to what I needed to get to and what I felt was right. And from this experience, a fire was lit inside me. I felt this great passion for fighting against discrimination in all forms. I never wanted anybody to feel how I felt that day. And with girls' education, there are so many barriers. There's religion and culture. There's child marriages. There's family need for them to stay home and work. There's poverty on top of that. There's slavery. There's distance from school. Children have to walk miles to school, which is a definite barrier. And there's also security issues. You all remember Malala. Like, there are all these things that are keeping girls from education. And my natural response is to push against the barrier, right? To be like, I'm going to force their way into school. And that's what we've been trying to do for, the last 20 to 30 years. And we have made significant progress, but we're not able to get into some of those countries and increase girls' education because we're trying this attempt, and it doesn't work. We are pushing against a wall that cannot be broken and just simply by pushing on it or telling them that they're doing it incorrectly. I worked for INE Education International this summer. They are a non-profit organization that builds schools in Afghanistan for girls. Now, Afghanistan has significant barriers for girls' education. There's family cultural issues, there's religious issues, there's security issues, and they all keep girls out of school. And if you push against those directly, you end up with empty school buildings built by the military that are never used because the community will not send their girls to school there. And so what INE Education International did was they circumvented those barriers and found ways around them so they could still send girls to school. So, for example, they had a large community buy-in. So they built these schools using local labor. They talked to community and religious leaders before they built the schools to get permission. They also, because boys' education is valued higher, they talked to the community leaders and said, hey, we're going to allow boys to attend this school too. And so boys would attend school in the morning and girls in the afternoon. And so the community became more supportive of this girls' education. They also built computer centers. And what was really neat about this is it circumvented the issue of child marriage. And I know that sounds really abstract, but what they did is they built these community centers and in these computer centers, and they allowed the community to come in for free. And when there weren't classes, and also in the classes they taught vocational skills. And families loved this because the girls, all of a sudden, they were getting this economically valuable tool. They knew all these computer things, they could work from home, and even after they got married, husbands were even sending their young child brides back to school, which never happened before, because they wanted them to get this education and have this economically valuable tool. So we weren't able, we can't eliminate child marriage right now. I want to, I hate it, I think it's horrible, but one of the ways we're going to do that is by educating girls. In order to educate girls, we need to circumvent that issue for now until we can fight it later. I know that it sounds like, for me, with all my passion, I wanted to share that with you because I want you to know, like, I do want to fight it, but sometimes there's a time for fighting and there's a time for circumventing. And I think in the case of girls' education, there is a need for us to circumvent these issues and go around the barriers instead of trying to fight against them like we have been for the last 30 years with little success. Thank you. So now there's time for questions. So if you have any questions about girls' education, I only gave one example, but there are many that I'm familiar with, so feel free to ask.
Can you take 2 steps forward? Thanks.
That light's just so bright.
I know.
Dang it, was it really bad the whole time then?
No, it's fine. It's just a little bit better. There.
Okay.
Do you see, what educational issues do you see in the U.S. right now with girls' education?
Well, I think the main one is that people don't think there's an issue with girls' education. And so people are denying the fact that there are still issues that are keeping girls out of careers in engineering or in computer science because there's this idea that it's not natural. Like girls are not naturally good at those things. Although this is being disproven, girls are scoring higher on math tests now, and higher than boys on math tests now. So there's definitely been that cultural barrier that has been attributed to natural, and I think that's one that probably can be head-on corrected with science and statistics that can show that that is not true, and that women can be good at those things. And once that is more acceptable, women will then enter those fields more often. Megan?
So I'm wondering what other studies have been done or about the circumventing approach. I think it's a great approach in terms of just, instead of just like fighting building a school saying put girls here, but what I mean, you talked about some successes, but has there been any other successes besides what you've done or studies to say that circumventing helps educating helps eliminate those things that are bad for women?
Well, so there is studies that show that if you educate women, a lot of health issues are fixed or improved. The more education a mother has, the less likely she is to marry her daughter off young. The more education a mother has, even if she doesn't go into the workforce, the better off their farm is, the better off the children are, the less maternal mortality rates there is, the less infant mortality rates there are. This was actually put out in 2011 by a UNFPA report, or UNESCO. Both of those probably. So did I answer your question fully? So as far as like the circumvention approach, people haven't really talked about that, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. Is like we often think, oh, we should get this problem head on. It's a very Western mindset, like you're wrong, we're right. You should do it exactly how we do it. Instead of like, okay, how can we work with your culture as it is now to get the things done that we need to get done to make positive changes?
So I talked to you about this before, and I know that you're passionate, but there's something to substantiate it that you actually do make consideration. But I feel like when I tell people I'm in the MBA program and I tell people what my goals are, they kind of blow it off as an idealistic college student who is going to grow up and change the real world. It's like, oh, bring water to Africa, fight AIDS here, or bring schools to girls in Afghanistan. How can we portray the things that we're passionate about to get people on board without seeming like that idealistic, not going to cause any good and cause?
I think it's all about facts. You have to have the facts to substantiate what you're saying. Like, look, there is this research that shows, back it up, or I have this and this experience that shows that this approach works and that there can be this change made. And because I think I hear that a lot too, especially with like girls' education. A lot of people are like, well, why even educate? Like, there's just like a lot of negative attitudes towards it, as well as people just don't think it's successful. There's just too many barriers against it for it to work or be successful or even make any real difference. And I think that you just have to be consistent and have that research to back you up and experience. And the more experience you get, the more that you'll be like, oh, wow, you're not just an idealist, you're an idealist with pragmatism. So, any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Could you clarify what the economic value was of the male population in this example found by having their child brides educated?
They started working from home on their computers,
Oh.
and so they could bring the money in that way.
Thank you.
So they were really happy with that. Because they don't want their women outside of the home, like that's a problem, so they don't want them to go out and work. But if they could do it from home on the computer, they could be adding more money. They were very happy, and it was really interesting to see that. And I Need Education International is one of the first groups to really do that and see that effect. Yeah.
So what did they do from home? I mean, what were they educated in so that they could make money from home?
Just like regular skills that other people don't have. Afghanistan is a poverty-stricken war zone. People don't have computer skills. I think we're very common, we think like, oh, it's computers and everybody knows how to use it. That's not true. In this country, like these women are probably the only people in their family that know how to use a computer. Because they don't have computers, they don't have TVs. Before they built schools, they were in tents sitting in the dirt for their classrooms. They have nothing. It is really poverty stricken. So the fact that they can use a computer makes them so much more economically savvy and available than anybody else in their families.
So would it be like data entry type jobs or like sending emails for people or drafting things?
Yeah,
Okay.
at a very basic level.
What my mom used to do in the 60s, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same difference. She could type, so yeah.
What, like, if people need things typed, they'll type it. It's
Yeah.
not like,
Modern version of.
Yeah.
Awesome.